another Tigers season has officially come and gone as the Tigers have been eliminated in the ALDS, falling short against the Cleveland Guardians in 5 games in the series that went to the limit. I mean, despite Detroit pushing Cleveland to their absolute limits, in the end, the Tigers just weren't good enough to pull it off. And it sucks. You never want to have the season end this way, especially when you push Cleveland to the limit and in a series where you had a shot to end it all in 2 games, where you had 2 shots to end it, and the Tigers didn't take advantage of any of those 2 opportunities. It's pretty disappointing, but hey, it was a pretty successful season for the Tigers regardless. Which, that's pretty easy to say it's a successful season for the Tigers, considering the Tigers came into the season with no expectations. Hell, they weren't even supposed to be here, yet they have found a way to make it in when it looked like all hope was lost. I mean, it was a very hard fought series. Even though it didn't start off that way when the Tigers gave up 5 runs to start off the series before they could even get a single out. Because game 1 of the series, it went pretty bad. But usually it was a good thing the Tigers had that ass whooping in game 1, because it always wakes you up when you get socked in the mouth like that. And the Tigers woke up after that as they had 2 straight shutouts after that, with shutting Cleveland out in game 2. Where in game 2, the game-winning score was until the 9th inning until Kerry Carpenter hit the 3-run bomb to win the game. And in game 3, the Tigers shut out Cleveland in Detroit's first playoff game at Comerica Park since 2014. And they also set attendance records for a playoff game, which that was good to see. I mean, I do agree that MLB October does look good on Detroit. And it was great to see that kind of turnout. I mean, it's great to see turnout in Detroit. Especially with how the Lions had great turnouts last year. I mean, for fuck's sakes, the Lions have sold out season tickets 2 years in a row. And the great playoff atmosphere we had in Detroit in the January last year during the Lions playoff run. Great to see that support be carried over to Comerica Park for the Tigers. And hopefully in April, we can see that same kind of support in April when the Red Wings make the playoffs. And for anyone saying, oh, what about the Pistons? No, too soon for the Pistons. They got a long ways to go before we could even talk about the Pistons being on the same level. But yeah, I mean, Tigers did pretty good pitching-wise. I mean, they held Cleveland scoreless for 21 straight innings throughout the series. Well, until Game 4 when Cleveland decided to finally wake up. I mean, Game 4 looked like the Tigers were going to have in the bag, because the Tigers were up 3-2, and then David Fry hit a 2-run bomb to put Cleveland ahead for good. Even Detroit, despite Detroit's best efforts, they just could not get it done against Cleveland in Game 4, forcing the winner-go-home Game 5. A game that was originally supposed to start at 4 o'clock until MLB decided to move the start time up to 1 o'clock because of impending weather coming to Cleveland. And, well, the game started off pretty well until it was 1-1 and then Tariq Skubal gave up a grand slam. Damn, that's 2 brutal moments for Detroit sports within the last year. We had an NFC Championship game last year. Kendall Vildor had the potential interception ricochet off his helmet right into Brandon Ayuk's hands at the 5-yard line when Detroit was up by 14 over San Francisco. And now Tariq Skubal giving up a grand slam in a 1-1 game in a winner-go-home Game 5. Fucking brutal. Oh, fuck. I just hate to see what kind of bullshit happens with the Wings in the playoffs in April. Fuck. Yeah. Even despite some of Detroit's successes, there are still moments in the playoffs where life as a Detroit sports fan is pain. But usually pain can turn into a good thing and make you more hungrier the following year. But yeah, and then, after that grand slam, the Tigers just could never recover from it. And the Tigers lose Game 5, 7-3, and lose the series in 5 games. So the Tigers' Cinderella season ends, and Cleveland advances to the ALCS and will meet the Yankees. I'll be perfectly honest, even if the Tigers didn't make the ALCS, they probably wouldn't do much against the Yankees. Just the Yankees would have been too much for the Tigers to handle. But yeah, just, hard way to end just a heartbreaking way to end the year. When you had Cleveland by the fucking balls and you just let them escape into the woods. Yeah, there was a question coming in. What would prevail? Cleveland, who had the best bullpen in the AL, or a gritty Tigers team that just likes to fuck around and cause chaos? In the end, Game 5 proved one thing. To actually prove two things. One, we usually know how Cinderella stories usually end. 95% of the time, it usually ends with the clock striking midnight. And in Game 5, the Tigers' clock just struck midnight. As despite the Tigers giving Cleveland everything they had, just Game 5, the Tigers just simply ran out of gas. And just had nothing left in the tank. And the second thing we learned in the series is what happens when you play fuck around and find out too much. Usually the rule is when the more you fuck around, the more you tend to find out. In Game 5, I think that Grand Slam proved that the Tigers fucked around and found out alright. In the worst possible way. I'm very thankful for what the Tigers did this season. I mean, look at where the Tigers were on August 11th. They were 55-63, only 8 games below 500. They were over 12 games out of a playoff spot. Had only a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs. Like, hell, for fuck's sake, the Tigers even sold pieces off at the deadline and were throwing in the towel on the season. Yet from August 11th to the September 29th, the Tigers hit a switch and were able to somehow, someway come all the way back and make it in the playoffs. And the Tigers even won a series. They actually did something in the fucking playoffs. I mean, they swept Houston out of, and Houston has been one of the top dogs in the AL for almost a decade. And even took Cleveland, a division rival and the team that won the AL Central this year, to its absolute limit. So yeah, should be grateful, for a great season, for a good season at least. Because there are a lot of teams in baseball that would kill to have the season or comeback the Tigers had. But at the same time, though, you gotta feel a little disappointment, though, because, it could have been an opportunity to potentially win a World Series and the drought, and the 40-year drought. Because opportunities like this don't come often. Especially in baseball, since baseball has no salary cap, and it's all dependent on what kind of market team you are. Because the Tigers, they're not a big market team, like the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Astros or Dodgers or the White Sox. Or hell, even the Nationals. They're a small market team. But the good news is the Tigers are still a very young team, one of the youngest teams in MLB. And they got a couple more prospects coming up in the coming years. So this team will only get better. But, when you're a small market team, you only have a few opportunities in the window. Well, the Tigers got a window now. They got about 5 years to capitalize before they have to dismantle and retool everything. Just because there's not a big market team. If anyone's saying they need to put a salary cap in baseball, it's not going to happen. The time for to put a salary cap in baseball was in the 90s, and it was voted, and everyone voted heavily against it. Hell, the idea of a salary cap is what led to a lockout canceled season in 94. So yeah, salary cap won't happen. Kind of crazy that they even put a draft lottery in, just to turn tanking into a total crapshoot. But yeah, it was a good, impressive comeback, and plus the Tigers' playoff run, it was the perfect void to fill during the 2 weeks during the Detroit Lions bye week. Perfect distraction from the bye week, to have some fun elsewhere. It was a great run, but just in the end, just this wasn't the year for the Tigers to pull it off. Maybe next year. It's going to be an interesting offseason. The Tigers have a pretty good bullpen. They have like the second best bullpen in the AL. For Christ's sakes, they got Terry Skubal, who is most likely winning the Cy Young this year. Even won the AL Triple Crown. So, we have the bullpen. We just need to get some runners in scoring position. Considering that in the playoff run, the Tigers were 5 for 46 when they had runners in scoring position. Which, I'll be honest, you're not going to win many playoff games or series in baseball with that kind of success rate with runners in scoring position. Like, the Tigers need to get better. Because the Tigers have proven they can get runners on base. And then what? Like, the Tigers need to find a way to get points on the board. Bottom line, that's got to be one of the big focuses going into the offseason, is getting some points on the board. Because we know how good the bullpen is. We just need to get some offense. So, yeah, now it's on the Scott Harrison out and company in the offseason to fix the last holes remaining and possibly make a run in the World Series next year. As long as Chris Ilitch stays the fuck out of day-to-day operations and actually lets them fucking spend money. And I'll say this to Chris, do you want to win a World Series or not? Because we already know what your dad Mike would do, and that is throw any money at anything that can throw, catch, or hit a baseball. Or maybe that's what Chris Ilitch is trying not to do, because we saw Mike do that, and it didn't result in the Tigers winning anything outside of losing in getting their ass whooped in 2 World Series appearances to St. Louis and San Francisco. Unless Chris thinks that if he does the opposite, it will work. And I'll tell you right now, won't work. Like we'll find out in this window if Chris Ilitch actually gives a fuck about winning, if he's anything like his dad, or if he only cares about the bottom line. Time will tell. But Chris, for the love of God, stay the fuck out of day-to-day operations. Let the fucking baseball people you hire do their job. But yeah, that wraps it up here. Hey, congrats to Cleveland. Cleveland 100% proved why they deserve to win the AL Central this year. Hey, Cleveland deserved to win the series. A series that could have gone either way. And in the end, the better team simply won. End of the day. So yeah, Tiger season over. So now it's the off season, and we won't see the Tigers again until spring training. Maybe it depends on if the practice facility up in Lakeland at Joker Martian got damaged or not from Hurricane Milton. I mean, we already saw what that hurricane did to Tropicana Field when it ripped the roof right off that place. And let's be honest, Tropicana Field was a fucking dump before Hurricane Milton put that thing out of its misery. Like, honestly, just demolish the damn thing already. Just put that fucking eyesore out. It was already one of the worst stadiums in baseball until Milton fucked it up even more. But yeah, I did hear about what happened with the Rays. Trust me, I know. I think everybody knows what happened. Because I got a lot of friends that live down in Florida. But yeah, great season for the Tigers, but, they just fall short. But yeah, that wraps it up here. That's all I gotta say. On the Lions football season, at least the Red Wings season has started now. And Pistons start at the end of the month, and Pistons preseason started. But I'll cover all of that in the Detroit sports recaps. Tigers get their own recap at the end of the season. But yeah, anyway, that's all I gotta say. I'm out, and as always, go Tigers. Detroit sports is coming back on the up.